I'm going to discuss the Kamala Harris campaign, the Joe Biden disaster, the where we are as a society, but I'm going to use a little story to lead you up into that. You see, I have two sons. When I was younger, and they were much younger, we're talking little kids, think, 2, 3, 4 years old. They would obviously obsess over things like superheroes. What little boy doesn't obsess over Superman or Spider-Man or the Incredible Hulk? But they loved superheroes, comic books, movies, whatever came out. Of course, young boys like superheroes. And when they were that young, I would go and I would tell them, because I'm a terrible father, I would tell them that, hey, I'm the Incredible Hulk. And I would just be able to say things like that to them. And they're, what? No way. Oh, that's so cool. Hey, can you turn green for us? And I would say, no, I don't want to hurt anybody, but I just want to let you know your dad's the Incredible Hulk. I know it's kind of cruel, but it was hilarious. And then it didn't take them long as they started to get older. I would go to them and I'd say, hey, I'm the Incredible Hulk. And they would say, oh, that's really cool. But we never see you turn green. It's kind of weird. We believe you, but you don't really ever turn green. And then as they grow a little bit older and they start to learn to use this, didn't take them long, 6, 7 years old. Boys, I'm the Incredible Hulk. And they said, Dad, no, you're not. You never turn green. Don't say it's because you haven't gotten mad. We see you get mad, Dad. You haven't turned green. You're lying to us. So you see the progression. When they're super, super young, I could tell them anything and they would believe it. I'd walk up to automatic doors and put my hand out and tell them I had Jedi powers, and the door would open and they'd say, wow, that's a Jedi. They'd believe anything. And then as they got older and sharper and wiser, they started to question things and figure things out. Now, I want you to think about American society right now. Because what you're seeing right now with the Kamala Harris campaign is, I'm going to use the word an experiment. I'm not sure if that's exactly the word I want to use, but this is what you're seeing right now. The American communist has, for the longest time, had to shade the truth a little bit here. And he still does this all the time. Kind of use a little bit of truth and just kind of veer off it a little bit here. Mostly true, but then he kind of just swerves a little bit. And as America has gone in reverse from my sons, that's the point I'm trying to make here, we're going the opposite direction. The communists is starting to figure out more and more that he needs less and less of that truth in order to get huge portions of the population to believe something. So maybe he used to need 80% truth, and then he watched over the years as that number ticked down, 70, 60%. Okay, hey, we can tell a half truth now. Ooh, what's that? Do you think we could get away with 30%? Let's try a 30% truth. And what he's trying to figure out is, has he dumbed down and demoralized our society, enough of our society, I should say, has he dumbed down and demoralized enough of our society to the point he doesn't need a single percentage of truth. He needs 0% truth. He can just invent something out of thin air and have enough of the American people believe it. What you're looking at right now with the Kamala Harris campaign is exactly that. I'm going to say something for you. This is amazing. Kamala Harris is the Democrat nominee for President of the United States of America, even though she didn't really, earn it. Either way, she's the Democrat nominee for President of the United States of America. She doesn't have policies listed. None. 0. The Democrat nominee for president doesn't have policies listed on her website. I could pull up the small mom and pop donut shop who just opened in my town, this lovely old couple in this kind of ratty little shop. I think they spent 35 cents putting this place together. They have a website with menu options on there. the Democrat nominee for president doesn't feel the need to inform the American people of a single policy position of hers. Oh, she was just asked about it. Here she was.
When can we expect you to roll out your policy platform?
Next week, and it'll be focused on the economy and what we need to do to bring down costs and also strengthen the economy overall.
Next week, the economy and some costs. And I need to point something else out. That reporter asked her a question. That in and of itself is stunning because nobody has gotten to ask her a question. In fact, I believe that's the third question she's been asked in the 3 weeks she's been the Democrat nominee for president. She won't do interviews. She won't state her policy positions. She is nothing. A complete blank slate. She has given the American people nothing of substance, zero truth, no facts, no nothing. How in the world could they be that brazen? How in the world could they be that obvious, that blatant? How in the world could they do this? You know what? You want to put the cherry on top of it? You remember Trump's been out there a lot lately, talking about taxes on tips. Trump rants about this all the time. There shouldn't be taxes on tips. They're taxing your tips for waitresses and things like that. No taxes on tips, no taxes on tips. This is not a one-off. He's said this many, many, many times before. Kamala Harris, to my knowledge, has never mentioned once in her life eliminating taxes on tips. This was her at a rally this weekend.
Including to raise the minimum wage and eliminate taxes on tips for service and hospitality workers.
Hold on. What? Did she just take Trump's position and act as if it's her position? How could she get away with it? What you're seeing is a big experiment. And I don't know if we're going to like the results. I hope we will, and we might. I don't know that we're going to hate the results. I don't know that we're going to love the results. But what the Democrats, what the communists have decided after COVID, after so many things, they have very clearly decided, hey, we don't need any truth anymore. We don't need to be anything anymore. We can run an entire presidential campaign on nothing. On, what did they call her? A brat in the beginning? What does that even mean? On joy. There are headlines out there today. There are campaigns focused on joy, or we can run an entire campaign telling our opponents that Trump is a threat to democracy. Can they run a presidential campaign on nothing of substance at all and still get 51% of American voters to support them? I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know whether or not they can, but it's very clear at this point in time, they think they can. Look, they hid Joe Biden in a basement for 4 years, 5 years, if you count his presidential campaign. They hid him in a basement reading off note cards, teleprompters, handing him little cue cards. It says here I'm supposed to call on Amber with ABC. They pulled that off for 4 or 5 years, and it worked. And I say the American communist believes now the truth is gone, that he will just come up with something out of thin air. I mean, look at this. I want you to keep in mind, before I play this little clip of John Carl for you, keep this in mind. This is how crazy it's gotten. The whole Kamala Harris was borders our thing. That was all done on camera. It's not like I heard from a guy who heard from a guy. You could, right now, if you wanted to, you could pull up on your phone a videotape of Joe Biden sitting beside Kamala Harris saying, here she is, it's a big deal, I'm putting her in charge of the border. And not only that, they then pan over to Dome, and she thanks him for it, for lack of a better word. Says, yeah, it is a big responsibility. I've got it covered. This has been done on camera. John Carl, the American media apparatchik, said this.
Well, John, we have to start with the fact that we have a wide open southern border because our border czar actually set a lot of open border policies. They suspended.
She's not actually. She wasn't the border czar.
Oh, that was what the media called her.
Flashback.
The president put Vice President Kamala Harris in playing a critical role in terms of trying to stop the flow of migrants across the border.
She had control over a lot of our border policy at a time
What was the
when they
root
were
causes of the
suspending.
migration
Let me finish, John.
Okay.
The time they were suspending deportations,
Yeah.
they stopped Donald Trump's Remain in Mexico policy, and they reinstituted catch and release. They basically threw open the gates of our country, and now we have a ton of fentanyl, a ton of people
But
suffering.
how are you going to get 10
and
to
a ton of
15 to 20
Americans.
million people
Well,
out
the
of the
first
country?
thing you have to do is to stop the bleeding.
It was done on camera. John Carl himself was on camera. And they want to know, have we spent enough years dumbing down and demoralizing the American people that we can now invent something out of nothing? Will the American people believe that I'm the Incredible Hulk? I don't know. We will find out in November.